So while teaching about embodiment, there were some different things that I kind of discovered or stumbled across. And I find that it's not always visible from the outside how healing it can be to actually work with your sensuality. And the kind of sensual work that I do mostly is about feminine energy and really cultivating that. Yeah. So what I find is that really working with the senses of the body, and that's what sensuality is to me, working with the senses and the perception, the internal perception of your body, being intimate with the things that you feel and sense. So while working with the body from the senses, there is also a greater sense of embodiment. So it's like you're starting this dialogue between your mind and your body, and many people live their lives just kind of from their mind. So what happens when we connect to the body as well is we start to have this understanding and felt perception of what's going on internally. Yeah. And then another thing is just this aliveness. When life gets dull or frustrating, it's so necessary to connect to a sense of playfulness, a sense of, this joy of being in the body. So, maybe you already feel it or notice that when there is sensuality activated, there is more energy flowing through that body. It has a vibrancy. It has this aliveness. And the other thing is that as we establish this mind-body connection, it's very possible that feelings will come up that aren't always pleasant. So you're really sensing into your body and starting to feel what is underneath the surface. And the way that I work with embodiment is also to really welcome any emotions there. Those emotions are part of the sensuality of the being alive and present in your body. And really by pendulating between these two states of listening internally to the body, listening to sadness, anger, whatever is alive in the moment, you're going to bring like this, almost like an ointment that you're putting on an old wound. Yet at the same time, that wound is not so scary anymore because we're using our senses to stay in the moment. So maybe we're feeling an old feeling, but we're also using our senses to feel the chair that we're sitting on, to see the environment that we're in, to smell whatever fragrance there is in the air. So every sense is alive. And I think that there's also a misconception about sensuality where, there's this kind of manufactured image of what is sexy. And we get to see this in porn, in mainstream media. There's this male gaze of what is sexy. And a lot of women internalize that. So they will start to see the way that breasts look in a porn movie and start to think, well, that is sexy and I am not, for example. So they start to differentiate between that outside thing that is labeled sensual and the inside being that they are. And for me, this is really connected. The true sensuality is the inner being. And this inner being might express in a way that you haven't seen before. But that is the true gateway to your sensuality, to enjoying your body. So if you are able to breathe into your body, to freely inhale and exhale, to sound with that, to allow any sensations to voice, to move through your body. If you use the sense of touch and allow yourself to intimately feel that touch, And the same with smell, and the same with taste, and even feeling the lips, feeling every part of the body. This very intimate, loving way of being with our body is expansive. So it does have this almost ecstatic quality where women can really go into the state of being so ecstatic and having a very alive and vibrant sexual energy. And that's what they are trying to copy in, for example, because it's an easy example, in a porn movie where you see this woman like screaming and moaning. The reality is that I don't think any, or I think few of these women are actually feeling that. Yeah. And when it creates this image, especially with young women or young men, when it creates this image of that is what sex looks like, what sensuality looks like, and then there's even more pain because women might start faking or trying to please, trying to be this image. And men, for example, if we're having like a heterosexual dynamic, might start to copy what they see in that movie. And while they're copying those movements, the energy is in the mind, because the man will be thinking of, oh, I saw this thing, and the woman will also be thinking, oh, my body maybe doesn't look the way it should. And so there are these two beings that are completely in the mind. And for true sensuality, this is incredibly harmful. You're engaging in such an intimate act without being present of how it actually feels in your body. And this is how a lot of people, and I've seen this more so in my work with women, come to the forefront, is where there's this residue of old trauma that they never even knew was created. And this trauma was created by not being present with each other. Someone not being present with crossing their own boundaries or crossing another's boundaries. So then there's this whole residue of pain from the times that we were not present and were not there. Yeah, and I think it's just sad or disappointing that the norm of sex in our Western worlds, just to name an example of a way that sensuality could express, is so not sensual, actually. It's very mind-based, very goal-oriented, and there is little presence for the actual moment of feeling the weight of another body against you, feeling your own energy and how it moves through you. Feeling also in the body, is there a contraction or expansion? Am I like fully open to be penetrated? Or is my body giving a no, a sign of a no? So yeah, it's so sad to me that this is not taught from the very beginning, because it would prevent a lot of pain. And I know that the way that I view sensuality is different than a lot of people when they talk about sensuality. So for a lot of people, the equation is sensuality means sexy, means wanting sex or moving towards sex or masturbation. And for me, the sensual energy is like, I don't know, this way of feeling alive and playful and expansive and just almost like this yes towards life. And it doesn't always mean that my pussy is wet when I'm feeling sensual. I might be enjoying the sense of like some soft fabric against me, and that could move into sexuality. And I see that sensuality works this way, sexuality works this way for a lot of women, like feeling so safe and sensually alive in the body can lead to an opening into sexuality, but it definitely doesn't need to. And then that is completely separate from any action, You might be so sensually alive and never want to do anything with that with another person. Yeah. So these are some ways that I noticed that sensuality is also a healing journey into wholeness. And I know that so many people hold shame and or restriction when they think of being in contact with their sensuality. And yeah. And I know that it's also has to do with this the feeling into the body, feeling deeper into the body. You will start to feel also the things that were not pleasant. So that can be a scary place to go to for some people. And yeah. And still, when there is this old pain, this old trauma in the body, sensuality is actually a gateway to staying present in the here and now, to giving yourself the safety that you need by really saying, I'm in my body, I'm here, I feel my my boundaries, my body, I'm in control. So feeling really the presence of being here, and then that juice and aliveness that comes from when we actually start to enjoy the senses. And yeah, definitely really alternating between the two, like feeling the presence and then feeling deeply into the body, feeling I'm here, it's okay to be here, and then feeling maybe some old pain, and then seeing again with the senses, oh, I'm here, I'm safe, I'm not in that old memory anymore. So this is definitely a way that you can start your sensuality practice or your healing journey. And it's something that you can do throughout your whole day, that you don't need anything extra for. To really start to feel the water when you're taking a shower, to notice on what texture your feet are standing. Yeah, and feeling the quality of your breath. Yeah. So let me know if you have any questions or anything that you run into or thoughts that you have about sensuality. And maybe that's something I could take along for a next topic.